this video, let's compare the camera quality of two mid-range devices. In the budget price segment, the Redmi Note 5 Pro from Xiaomi, currently the king in the budget segment, versus Samsung's newly released Galaxy J6 2018. One thing to remember is both these phones do not have auto HDR mode, so you have to manually switch it on to make use of it. And it is much faster to access HDR mode in the Redmi Note 5 Pro than the Galaxy J6, which can be a tad bit frustrating if you need it instantly. The camera UI or user interface on the Note 5 is actually easier and faster to use in real life scenarios than the Galaxy J6, which can also feel a bit laggy at times. Samsung have always been known to have good cameras in general, whereas it was just the opposite in Xiaomi's budget Redmi series with not so good picture quality. So let's find out if things change or remain the same in the case of these two devices. Starting the comparisons off with the dynamic range performance. This is one area which is obvious in most pictures as we proceed through the video. The Redmi Note 5 simply outperformed the Galaxy J6 in the dynamic range department, as in it is able to tone down the brighter areas of the picture while brightening up the darker areas. Whereas the J6 isn't as capable and is not able to bring out the blues in the sky color as you can see in this picture. Here, even with the HDR mode off, the Note 5 Pro is able to balance the bright parts, but it gets overblown in the J6. It's the same in low light conditions where you can see more details from the Note 5 Pro as compared to the J6. Next, as far as color reproduction, saturation and white balance goes, both devices does an excellent job in reds and yellows with subtle color differences, bringing out ample details with a very neutral white balance. If you notice, none of the pictures seem to lean more towards either warmer or cooler tones, but is rather in the neutral white zone, which is indicative of good white balance. Though the Redmi Note 5 Pro does a far better job at bringing out natural blues and green hues, which actually gives the picture a bit more life and color, instead of a slightly washed out feel in the J6. Also, the Note 5 Pro holds the advantage of portrait mode in both the front and rear cameras, giving it that professional DSLR type look. Moving on to exposure levels, this is another area like in the dynamic range, where the Redmi Note 5 Pro consistently dominates over the J6. The brightness level seems to be more on the J6, but it is actually due to a bit of overexposure, whereas the Note 5 does a great job at perfectly balancing the exposure levels instead of under or overexposing it. In this picture, the J6 seems to capture a brighter picture, but in fact the Pro does a better near perfect job at balancing the exposure as well as the color and contrast. The 8 megapixel front camera on the J6 is no match for the 20 megapixels on the Pro, which simply produces much better video and picture quality. The video quality on the Redmi Note 5 Pro on both front and rear cameras has more depth of color, better dynamic range and is more aesthetically pleasing to the eyes than the J6, which again seems a bit washed out. But also the Pro has added advantage of electronic image stabilization, which really helps in stabilizing shaky footage absent on the J6. In low lighting conditions, both do an above average job, but the Note 5 Pro almost always performs better than the J6 in all criteria discussed till now, especially in the dynamic range, and manages to get deeper blacks without losing much detail. In this picture here, with almost zero lighting conditions, the Pro still manages to get some sort of detail out of the building, while only the moon is left visible from the J6 camera. And lastly, the depth of field, which you naturally get without using portrait mode, looks great in both devices, blurring out distant backgrounds, getting that bokeh effect in the J6 which has no portrait mode. The Redmi Note 5 Pro wins this camera battle against the Samsung J6 pretty convincingly, and I guess it's the first time that a Redmi device never known for its camera has managed to do it. Stay tuned to catch more videos on latest devices. Thanks for watching, keep it easy, catch you next time.